You know, somewhere out there, in your near future, there is a version of you that you haven't actually met yet. This person is so dialed in, so cold, so calculated, and so relentlessly consistent in everything they do that if you bumped into them on the street today, you wouldn't even recognize them. Honestly, you'd probably be intimidated by them. There's no panic in their eyes, no hesitation in their posture. They own their reality instead of constantly reacting to it. Most people around you think discipline is just some basic everyday routine. You know the vibe: waking up early, eating clean, hitting the gym because you're supposed to. They are dead wrong. Real, raw discipline isn't just a good habit, it is a deliberate, violent act against your own weakness. It's your ability to look your feelings, your exhaustion, and your endless list of excuses right in the face and bury them alive. No mercy, no negotiations. Look, you clicked on this video because you are just exhausted, aren't you? And I'm not talking about being physically tired, the kind of tired you can fix with a good night's sleep. You are tired deep down in your soul. You are sick and tired of your own inconsistency. You're fed up with making promises to yourself on Sunday night just to break them by Monday afternoon. You're trapped in this vicious cycle where you get a sudden burst of motivation, you go hard for 3 days, and then you completely crash. Then comes a week of brain fog, procrastination, and you're right back at square one, watching everyone else level up while you're stuck in the mud. Niccolò Machiavelli, a man whose name is literally synonymous with cold, hard ruthlessness, didn't write his legendary book, The Prince, for saints. He didn't write it to comfort people. He wrote it for strategists. He wrote it for the people who actually want to win in a world that is completely chaotic. Machiavelli understood one thing. If you are soft on the inside, if you are predictable and slave to your immediate whims, the world will destroy you. What we're about to do is a controlled demolition. We are going to dismantle, piece by piece, the part of you that craves comfort, seeks pity, and makes excuses. We are going to apply Machiavelli's ice-cold logic to your everyday life. By the end of this video, you will finally understand why trying to be liked by everyone is a mental prison, and why building a discipline that genuinely makes people nervous is the only real freedom you will ever have. But I need you to lock in and listen closely. The secret isn't about what you need to add to your life. It's about what you are finally willing to kill. Are you ready? Then let's begin. Protocol 1. Ghost Mode. Machiavelli famously wrote a line that should be your absolute law from this day forward. Everyone sees what you appear to be, but few know who you really are. Look at how the average person acts when they decide to change their life. They immediately broadcast it to the entire world. They post gym selfies, write deep captions, and tell all their friends that they're starting a new chapter or launching a business. They haven't done a single day of real, grueling work yet, but they're already begging for social proof and applause. Why do they do that? In cognitive psychology, this trap is called implementation intentions, famously researched by Peter Gollwitzer. When you tell people about your big goals, they nod and congratulate you in advance. Your brain takes that social approval and floods your system with cheap, unearned dopamine. It short-circuits. Your neural network literally registers that validation as if the goal is already achieved. As a result, your actual drive drops to zero and you quit before you even start. You let the steam out of the engine before you even turned the key. You need to do the exact opposite. You need to go ghost. Real elite discipline requires total radio silence. When you're constantly talking about your goals, you are secretly asking the world for permission. You're asking the crowd, hey, is it okay if I become successful? Is it okay if I get strong? Stop asking. The most dangerous person in any room is the one who silently listens, watches, and logs details without ever showing their cards. The moment you go completely silent, you create a vacuum. People start to panic. They project their own insecurities onto your silence. They don't know where you went, why you don't care about their opinions anymore, or why you stopped hunting for their likes on social media. And that silence becomes your ultimate armor. Imagine just disappearing from the grid for the next 6 months. No big announcements, no explanations, just monotonous daily execution in the dark. The gym, your projects, your books, your business, your body. You cut the noise, the endless scrolling, the cheap weekend hangovers, and the toxic friends who only loved you when you were drinking with them. And 6 months later, you step back into their reality. But you are not the same guy anymore. You are heavier, sharper, stronger. Your physical presence in the room hits differently. You don't have to say a word to prove you changed. They will see it in your eyes, your posture, and your absolute, terrifying calm. This is the discipline of a ghost. It makes people uncomfortable because it acts as a mirror to their own laziness. While they were chasing temporary attention, you were quietly building permanent power. Remember this. Explanations and justifications are the language of victims. Powerful people don't explain their moves, they just deliver the outcomes. If you're tired, shut up and work. If you're hurting, shut up and heal. Let your results eventually make so much noise that it drowns out everything else. Protocol 2. Emotional alchemy. Our culture loves this myth that highly disciplined people are just unfeeling robots, that they somehow don't experience exhaustion, boredom, or that heavy morning apathy. That is an absolute lie. Trust me, they feel it exactly the same way you do. They want to hit the snooze button just as badly. They want to skip the hard tasks just as much when things aren't working out. But there is one massive difference between you and them. They do not care how they feel. Machiavelli argued that a true leader cannot let his emotions run his kingdom. He wrote, "Men are driven by two main impulses, either by love or by fear." You need to apply this harsh math to yourself. Stop waiting for passion or that perfect motivational spark. You are not going to love doing the heavy lifting at 4 a.m. You are going to hate it. Passion and motivation are cheap, unreliable candles. The slightest breeze of a bad mood or a long day, and they blow out. You need a heavier instrument. You need duty. Real discipline is the art of acting in direct, violent opposition to how you feel in the moment. It is pure emotional alchemy. You take the heavy lead weight of "I don't want to," and you manually forge it into the gold of "I did it anyway." The second you stop consulting your feelings before making a move, you become a dangerous individual. Think about it. If your competition or your circumstances know you're only productive when you're in a good mood, all they have to do is wait for life to hit you hard. The moment you get sad or burnt out, you become completely defenseless. But if you are the kind of person who works even harder when you're down, who locks in even deeper when you're angry, and who grinds through the pain when your heart is broken, you become completely unpredictable. You break free from external circumstances. People look at you and they don't get it. Why isn't he stopping? That crisis should have broken him by now. They don't understand that you have completely detached your execution from your emotions. Treat your feelings like the weather. You look out the window and you see a massive storm. You acknowledge it. Yes, it's raining. But you don't cancel your entire life's mission just because it's wet outside, do you? You put on a coat and you step out into the rain. This is the Machiavellian approach to your own mind. You are the ruler of your state, and your immediate emotions are just a rowdy, unstable crowd in the town square. You can listen to their complaints, but you never let the mob dictate the laws of the kingdom. If they riot, you crush them. Start practicing a simple, grounded rule, the 3-second rule. When the alarm goes off or a brutal task lands on your desk, you have exactly 3 seconds. If you start thinking about it on the fourth second, your brain will instantly switch into survival mode and find 1,000 logical reasons why you should stay comfortable. Your biological processor is wired for survival and conserving energy, not your personal success. Your only job is to completely skip the negotiation phase. 1, 2, 3. Your body stands up and moves. Thinking in moments of weakness is your absolute enemy. Switch to pure mechanics. Let the body obey the mind without discussion. Over time, you will literally rewire your brain. You stop being someone who is trying to be disciplined. You become a machine that functions flawlessly, regardless of the conditions. Protocol 3. Solitude as a power lab. Machiavelli knew that to maintain control over your own destiny, a strong person often has to stand completely alone. He wrote, "A wise prince should rely strictly on what is under his own control, not on what is controlled by others." Take a hard look at your inner circle right now. Look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. Are they pushing you to level up, or are you just comfortable being mediocre together? Most people on this planet are terrified of being alone with their own minds. They fill every single second of silence with music, cheap podcasts, scrolling, or mindless texting. You know why? They can't handle the silence of an empty room because that's when their inner voice starts telling them the brutal truth. It whispers, "Look at you. You are flushing your potential down the toilet. Your life is passing you by." To build a discipline that leaves people stunned, you have to fall in love with isolation. You have to be willing to close the door on anyone who does not align with your life's mission. Yes, it sounds cold. Yes, it's ruthless. But it is non-negotiable for your survival. Remember this: the second you start rising, your old circle will instinctively try to grab your ankles and pull you back down. They don't do it because they hate you. It's just that your growth, your new physique, or your rising income acts as a mirror that forces them to look at their own laziness. When you get into peak shape, your lazy friend feels judged. When you build a business, they feel like failures. And that's when they start throwing those classic lines at you. You've changed. You're obsessed. You're no fun anymore. Answer them in your head. Yeah, I'm no fun anymore. Because what they call fun is just a slow, collective suicide pact to forget about their own lack of execution. You are not here to entertain the crowd. You are here to completely rebuild yourself. You have to get comfortable with being the villain in their story. Let them call you cold, arrogant, or distant. Let them tell stories about how you think you're better than everyone else. You don't think you're better. You just raised your standards, and you refuse to lower them back into the mud just to make them feel comfortable. Solitude is the laboratory where every great mind in history was forged. Only in total isolation, when you turn off the background noise of other people's opinions, do you finally hear your own authentic voice. You see your vision with crystal clarity. You need to regularly put yourself into monk mode. Lock the door, turn off the phone, and face the work alone. In that space, you will meet your demons. You will get bored, you will feel anxious, and you will want to run back to comfort. But if you sit through that storm and win that fight in the dark, you will step back into the light with a level of unshakable confidence that cannot be faked. People immediately spot someone who doesn't need them for validation. And here is the ultimate paradox of dark psychology. That is exactly when everyone wants to be around you. Because you are full. You aren't trying to take anything from them. You are centered. And this brings us to the final, darkest pivot of your transformation. The actual funeral of your old self. To create a version of yourself that commands respect through sheer consistency, you have to personally host the burial. You have to eliminate the person who has been living inside your head for years. Kill that desperate need to be liked by everyone. Destroy the version of you that looks for sympathy, complains about how hard life is, and waits for a savior. Machiavelli left us a brutal truth. War cannot be avoided. It can only be postponed, to the absolute advantage of your enemy. Right now, you are at war with your past self. If you show weakness and don't execute your old habits, they will guarantee the death of your future. Your past self will come crawling back every night, whispering in your ear, "Come on, you're tired. Just take a break. Skip today's workout. Just one drink. Start next week." Be ruthless. You are shedding a skin. It hurts, your ego will scream, your friends won't get it, and you might stand alone for a while. That is the direct tax for greatness. Don't complain about the bill. Just pay it. Because on the other side of that identity death, an entirely new version of you wakes up. A version that runs on pure logic, not emotional whims. A version that sees the world as a chessboard, not a playground. This new you is a little intimidating, isn't it? It should be. True sovereignty always commands a certain level of respect. When you achieve total self-control, your internal frequency shifts. People will start stepping out of your way, and they won't even know why. They just see a person who looked into the abyss of their own weakness, walked right through it, and completely conquered their own mind. And there is no greater victory on this earth. Once you build this inner fortress, the background anxiety that has buzzed in your head for years will finally go dead silent. Anxiety only breeds when you know you are weak and constantly lying to yourself in the mirror. But when you keep your word to yourself, there is nobody left to fear. The world around us is rapidly getting softer, louder, and more distracted, and that is your massive, unfair advantage. While the crowd hunts for cheap comfort and excuses, you hunt for the edge. Work in the dark. Leave the old you right here in this moment. Go build the one who takes it all. You've been watching Axiom of Psychology. Leave a comment below with one simple phrase. I choose the cold path. Prove to the algorithm and to yourself that you listened to this protocol to the very end. Subscribe if your mind is actually ready to evolve. Guard your silence. And I will see you in the next protocol.